Okay, so I'm gonna try to do one more of these before I gotta go to work, and we're gonna get through all of these this week, which is our Flash villains. We just opened up Heatwave yesterday, and I was rather disappointed with that figure, but this one should be better. Hopefully, we got the Mcfarlane Collector Edition, DC Multiverse Captain Boomerang, the Flash. So figure number 13, nice piece of artwork on the back with Captain Boomerang throwing a boomerang. Fairly typical. He's got we can see he's got a soft goods leather trench coat, got a trading card stand, which I always like to see with the collector edition figures. You know what collector edition means? It means it's overpriced, but not in this case because I got this guy on Amazon a while back for about 17 bucks. So got a good deal on him. And then yesterday, when I was at Target, I found one for $9. So I actually bought a second one of these. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but it should be some good custom fodder if nothing else. I know that they did a platinum edition version of this where he's wearing a baby blue trench coat. I wasn't too impressed. Lone Dragon says, "Be with you shortly." So, well, you're here right now. Did you go away? But okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and cut this piece of tape here, and we'll go ahead and get started talking about this figure. So this is not the classic Captain Boomerang costume. This is one that he wore in like the early 2000s or so. So the classic Captain Boomerang outfit had like one of those wedge military type caps and like a loose fitting, like I don't know, jerkin or tunic or whatever you want to call it. Had little pictures of boomerangs all over it, and this was an attempt to make him look a little bit more serious. So they didn't want him to look quite as goofy as the Silver Age version looked. But I kind of feel like the goofiness is part of the charm with that design of Captain Boomerang. And they killed him off in Identity Crisis, and they were going to replace him with his son, who, ironically enough, was a speedster. And I guess that character just didn't take for whatever reason, so they brought him back pretty soon after that at the end of Blackest Night or Brightest Day or one of those frickin' series. They brought back a bunch of characters that had been killed off, like Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter. I think a bunch of characters that had died around the same time. I think Aquaman was one of them, or Mara. Like I don't remember exactly all who. It was a while ago that I read that the last time. But yeah, they brought back a bunch of characters that had been killed off, and some of them had been killed off in like stupid ways. Captain Boomerang had died while killing Tim Drake's father. They both kind of killed each other. So he got killed by Robin's dad. One of the Flash's arch enemies got killed by Robin's dad. So yeah, this is we're doing Flash villains this week because I've got like a few of these Flash villains that I had accrued, and like it wasn't like I got them all at once. I got them all like separately, coincidentally wound up with like a large amount of Flash villains. And like I said, this guy, I saw him on Amazon for pretty cheap, picked him up on Amazon, and then saw him at Target for really cheap and got one at Target. So yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this. Go ahead and open it up. Hopefully Lone Dragon will be back. Be a shame if he missed the show. And I can't wait around, unfortunately, because I've got to go to work, like I said. So I'm just trying to crank one of these out before I go to work. So here's an unfortunate thing about these trading card stands, at least when they get them packed in here, is the trading card actually did get a little warped. You can see how it's bent a little bit in the packaging. That might be why they don't do these as often anymore. But you can still put it in the package, just don't put the card in it while it's in the package. It shouldn't be too hard to figure out. But yeah, there's the trading card stand. And here's the trading card itself with the same piece of artwork that we saw on the back of the package. Here's what the back of the trading card looks like. And it reads Captain Boomerang, the Flash, data file, real name George Digger Harkness. Now, of course, Digger is from Australia, and in Australia, digger is a term that was applied to soldiers down there, kind of like how we might call a soldier a GI. Australian soldiers are often referred to as digger, uh, and it thus became kind of a common nickname down under. And I learned about this when I was reading about Recondo in GI Joe, and in a lot of overseas, uh, i.e., not American GI Joe comics, when they took GI Joe to other countries, they decided to make it more of an international unit, and they would have characters in GI Joe that weren't necessarily from other, not they wasn't an entirely United States team, is what I'm saying. It was more of an international effort. Uh, Bobby Walt says, I think his American equivalent is better known as Captain Frisbee. I think maybe Frisbees did inspire this a little bit, this character, because I'll get into that in a little bit, but but yeah, so yeah, overseas, over in Australia, they made Recondo into an Australian character, which makes sense because the original Recondo figure was based on the original GI Joe, like the 12-inch GI Joe, the foreign soldiers, Australian jungle fighter. He had the same hat and a fairly similar uniform. He had long pants instead of khaki shorts, but that was the main difference in terms of their uniform. But yeah, he was made into an Australian character in the Australian version of GI Joe, and his name was changed from Recondo to Digger, probably so Australian kids would have more of a frame of reference for that. But yeah, so that's how I learned about that particular Australian handle. But yeah, that's when he's called George Digger Harkness. That's what it's a reference to. He was a soldier at some point. So it says George Digger Harkness is a mercenary and killer with an aptitude for boomerangs and other projectiles, antagonistic and often annoying to those around him. He has fought the Flash, and since his incarceration, has become a member of Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad. So yeah, when Captain Boomerang was originally introduced into Flash comics during the Silver Age, oh, let's go ahead and get the figure stand out. Uh, the original concept of the character, his original origin was that there was a toy manufacturer that wanted to try to do boomerangs as toys. They figured they'd be like the next hula hoop, and they decided to hire an actual boomerang expert to, wear a costume for their commercials and demonstrate the product. And that's when they hired Digger Harkness to be Captain Boomerang. So, not too far off from a frisbee, honestly. So there's the DC figure stand. Typical of what we get in collector's edition. It's like the usual matte black figure stand, but with a silver DC logo on there instead of the usual glossy black. Bobby Wald says, so now Hasbro needs to release a classified called Digger that's a repaint of Recondo. It comes with a giant can of Foster's. That'd be nice. All right, so let's go ahead and get him out of here. And I'm gonna be really careful when I'm trying to cut this because it's right across his soft goods jacket. Bobby Wald says, I'm still waiting on Kangor. Yeah. Wonder Woman's kangaroo. Jumpa, that's one I would like to have. As far as like that kind of thing goes. Get these out of here. So he's got two extra hands, which both look kind of like gesturing hands. Get those out of there. They're not identical. One of them's a little more splayed as far as that goes. And he comes with, oh, he's got more hands over here. So these are hands that are gripping hands. He's got fist hands on the figure. Those are going to get taken off right away because I want him to be able to hold his boomerangs. He's not Captain Fist. So the first time I ever saw Captain Boomerang, oddly, was in a Batman comic. And it was an issue of Detective Comics, I believe, where Captain Boomerang was feuding with, was it Mirror Master or something? Another Flash villain, probably Mirror Master. And they were feuding in Gotham City for whatever reason. And Mirror Master, not Mirror Master, Captain Cold had Captain, all these Flash villains, I'm getting confused. Okay. Oh, talking about the Australian version of Big Boa. Is that what he was called over there? Kangor? I have no idea. I'm not familiar with that one. So I'll have to look that up later. I am kind of interested in these foreign versions of GI Joe characters. So there we go. We got him out of there. But yeah, I think it was him fighting Captain Boomerang fighting Mirror Master. And so honestly, I didn't even know originally that he was supposed to be a Flash villain. I'm like, okay, he's another Batman villain. I guess he's obsessed with boomerangs. So, all right. So he's got this soft goods, dark blue pleather trench coat. I've mentioned before, I'm not really too crazy about the pleather type stuff on action figures because it has a tendency to crack and peel and all that kind of stuff. And I believe that these legs and probably most of the figure are reused from it's a body that we've seen before for like Red Hood and what's his name? The Jim Lee character, Wildstorm, with the Grifter. Grifter, yeah. I guess Jim Lee was a big fan of that old John Cusack movie. But yeah, so yeah, and he's got this we're gonna take the trench coat off because we want to look at the articulation. So we'll go ahead and pull that off of him very carefully. And underneath, you see he's got arms that are like a jacket. Because again, I guess they were since they were reusing that figure, they didn't really see much point. If he's going to be wearing a trench coat over it anyway, might as well just reuse those jacket arms. But I think it kind of works in this context. It almost just looks kind of like he's wearing a sweater, since it's like arms of like a leather jacket, so it still kind of works. So we'll take off the scarf so we can just get a look at the whole figure. So, and it does kind of remind me also of that that baggy sort of tunic the original Captain Boomerang wore. If they had a printed little white boomerangs all over it, it would have been pretty close to that. Sean Franklin is here. He says hi. Hi right back, Sean Franklin. Good to see you. All right, so this head sculpt is, again, it's based on the more modern interpretation of Captain Boomerang. He doesn't have the wedge cap anymore. Instead, he's got this beanie. And again, that's kind of how he was designed in that. When they killed him off in Identity Crisis, he was wearing a trench coat in that already over his more sort of typical Silver Age supervillain outfit. But they kind of drew him to look kind of like almost like Bob Hoskins. Sean Franklin says, haven't seen Jurassic World Rebirth new trailer. I haven't seen it yet either, so I'll probably try to check that out sometime soon. He's got little boomerangs on his bandolier, so that kind of takes the place of the little boomerangs that he had on his printed on his outfit initially. But yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure that the way that this was originally supposed to be sculpted, it was supposed to be like a T-shirt he was wearing underneath a jacket, but they don't have the jacket piece on here, so it all just kind of looks like a sweater. I think it works. And then he's got dark blue kind of cargo pants, got some like a black belt with lots of pouches over it, big pouch over here at the side. Got kind of this like combat style boots. Maybe they should have reused these legs for Sergeant Rock instead of the ones with the knee pads. That might have been a little bit better, but I never got that Sergeant Rock figure anyway. So, anywho, let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. Lone Dragon says, "Okay, I'm ready now. You can start." Well, you haven't missed much. I did get him out of the box, and I did talk about the origins of the character, but we're just about to start with the articulation. So let's go ahead and do that. He can look up about that far, so not really very far. Look down about that far. Tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side. Rotate the head all the way around. He does have some funky facial hair. He's got like these long sideburns that kind of go into his mustache. It's pretty similar to what Jai Courtney had in the movie. So he's got that Mcfarlane butterfly joint that kind of moves all the way around, moves back about this far, moves forward about this far. Arms, of course, rotate all the way around the shoulders. He's got bicep swivel that rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. As mentioned, the bicep swivel. He's got a bicep swivel. Goes all the way around. He's got the cool Mcfarlane wrist articulation. Let's go ahead and take these hands off, and we're gonna put the gripping hands on there. So I'm definitely those are definitely the ones I'm gonna keep on here, so he can hold his boomerangs. I'm going to get those off. Okay. And there we go. He's got a nice skin color. Sometimes I feel like these Mcfarlane figures can be a little pale, but he's definitely got a nice ruddy complexion. He's got a bit of a tan going on. He's a redhead with a tan, so you know what that means. He's a day walker. Yes, mutton chops. They are that's exactly the word for these, mutton chops. So when I was younger, I used to have mutton chops, like Wolverine. I wanted to look like Wolverine. So he's got the cool Mcfarlane torso articulation. You can move that around any which way you want to, really get some cool dramatic poses out of there. Of course, the waist and the torso articulation rotate all the way around, and you can get some dramatic kind of poses out of him. Very cool. Captain Boomerang can kick up about this far on this leg, but he's got this pouch that kind of gets in his way there, you see. And if we try with the other leg, he can kick up a little bit further, about 90 degrees. He's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. There is no boot cut, but he does have the cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation. So it rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the shin and where the shin meets the foot. So, and then it can point down about that far. Foot can point down about that far. And then he's got toe articulation just to show off. So, pretty cool figure. I'm glad I was able to get an extra one of these for $8. So I should be able to do something cool in terms of like a custom out of him. Maybe I'll make like Nemesis or something like that. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Or some kind of Golden Age character. Maybe I can do some kind of cool Golden Age character. Put the scarf back on him. And because of the way his head is articulated, it's pretty easy to just kind of stick the scarf under there, and you can see it's staying on pretty well. It kind of fits underneath his hair in the back, and then we can go ahead and put the trench coat back on him, and hopefully mine won't chip up too bad over the years. So, and it is nicely done. They've got like cuffs at the end here. You can see there's some nice attention to detail. Yeah, this one had come out around the same time as Starfire and the Penguin. He was in that assortment, but I didn't get him at that time because I only had the money for so much stuff at the time, and I'm like, I got Starfire and I got Penguin, which those are the ones that I wanted to have the most, and I decided I'd try to wait on Captain Boomerang and see if I could get him later, and that worked out pretty well for me because, like I said, I was able to get him for much cheaper than than what I paid for Penguin and Starfire. And if I was going to miss out on one of those, he's definitely the one to do it because uh, I don't know if I'd necessarily call him a peg warmer per se, but if any of those was a peg warmer, it was definitely Captain Boomerang. Starfire and Penguin sold out almost immediately, and he hung around for a little while. Like I said, I was able to get one at Target that was on clearance, so at least he was a peg warmer at that store. But but yeah, there was also the lighter blue version that was a platinum edition that I saw at Target a few times. And but he seemed to sell okay, just not as good as Penguin and Starfire, which I never ever saw at retail. And yeah, and anytime I saw them online, they're still like selling for like a good amount of money. But I was able to get Captain Boomerang for cheap. He's not a bad figure though. He's really cool. Now, honestly, like I said, I would have much preferred to have like the classic style of Captain Boomerang. Maybe that's what I'll do with my other Captain Boomerang. Just make another Captain Boomerang and just make him more like the try to make him more like the Silver Age type of Captain Boomerang outfit. Mainly just probably want to swap out the hat and paint those little boomerangs onto his onto his shirt. That'd be probably close enough to do it. But yeah, he was originally supposed to be a toy mascot. So once you take that into consideration, it kind of makes sense that he had a goofy Silver Age kind of supervillain outfit. But this one's a little more sort of like, a little more grounded, a little more tactical. And I think a lot of people probably would prefer to have this one over the original. I'm just the odd man out. Yeah, I would probably rather have the goofy Silver Age version. That's just me. Yeah, I'm definitely much happier with this one than I am with Heat Wave. Heat Wave was very disappointing. So I think the next episode I'm gonna go ahead and open up Gorilla Grodd. I've got some issues with that one too, but I'm hoping overall I'll wind up having some positive things to say about that figure. But I'm definitely going to have some nits to pick with Gorilla Grodd once we get him opened up. This is the I think it's from an Injustice. It's not the one from the Page Punchers with the orange armor. He's got gold armor, which when I saw him online looked really cool. So that was why I bought him. Part of the reason why I bought him anyway. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss that next episode, make sure that you like, subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Captain Boomerang, both this figure and the character in general. And what costume do you prefer for Captain Boomerang? I would imagine, like I said, most people probably do prefer this one over the original, but I'm still a fan of the original. That's just me. Anyway, we'll talk to you next time. Bye. Okay.